Hey guys, and welcome to another special edition of Gifted Monkey TV, all things toy and toy related. I'm your host, Jordan Preston, and it's Throwback Thursday time. That's right, time for another edition of Throwback Thursday, which means we go back into the Gifted Monkey archives and dig into our vault and pull out a chestnut of a review that's vintage, not even on my channel anymore, probably, and it gives you another chance to look at something that's a nice vintage toy or statue collectible and give your 2 cents on it right now from a today's perspective. And please, even though it's a vintage video, please feel free right now to comment, subscribe, and hit me with that thumbs up if you like the video, because it all registers as we build it. And thank you for watching. All right, sit back. Let's get into some vintage Gifted Monkey TV, and let's see what we got cooking.
Toy related. Hey all, and welcome to another edition of Gifted Monkey TV, all things toy and toy related. I'm your host, Jordan Preston. When we come back, we're going to take a look at a toy action figure from the guys over at SIDESHOW who claims he's the best at what he does. And what he does is bring the controversy. Respect the monkey! All right, guys, in keeping with the promise of the awesomeness, here we go. The SIDESHOW 1/6 scale, 12-inch Wolverine action figure. Now, remember I said that word action figure because we're going to come back to that in a little bit. Here we are right now. Now, remember, this is SIDESHOW, not Hot Toys. SIDESHOW sells a lot of Hot Toy product, 12-inch 1/6 scale figures, but this is actually SIDESHOW. Let's take a look at this box right quick. On the box, we see a nice artist rendering of Wolverine in his feral action pose right there. It's Wolverine Marvel 6 scale SIDESHOW. On the side, we see a continuation of Wolverine with the claws, artist rendering, and on the back, we see a more quarter scale look of another artist rendering of a sepia tone Wolverine being angry. And on the top, we have a look of Wolverine's mask silhouette right there. And on the bottom, same thing, silhouette of his mask. So let's pop this baby open, see what we got going on. And as we crack the box open, we see we have a nice little cover top of Wolverine's claws coming out like that. Nice little cover of that. We got foam protecting covering. Oh, and there's Wolverine right there with his additional head sculpt. Comes with 2 head sculpts. Underneath, we got some more goodies. Put that on the side. Underneath, we come with a whole set in a clamshell pack of Wolverine stuff. So let's get this stuff open and we'll see what all this Wolverine stuff is. Wolverine comes with all these goodies. We see it comes with 3 sets of hands. One with a not really fist. It's more of a holding hand. Both hands, right and left, hold stuff because they gave you stuff for him to be holding with his blades inside his hands. Another more exaggerated static hand, right and left, same thing. Like he's grabbing, getting ready to attack. And then we have the classic blades. These blades are very hard plastic. They look almost like they are metal, but they're not. They're very hard plastic with a nice silver coating on them, a glisten coat. And they're in there pretty good, so they don't come out, they don't extract or anything, they don't move, they don't wobble very, very much. They're very, very solid. That's good there too. It comes with these arms that you plug in. Now, SIDESHOW is doing something. Remember when I said action figure at the top of the show? This is what I wanted to talk about, and we'll get into it more as we go through the review. SIDESHOW is doing this thing now with, there's not much movement on the arms. It's just solid. This is almost like a resin. It's a hard plastic, almost feels resin. But there's no movement. There's no twist on the forearm. There's no bend on the elbow. The swivel will come up here as you connect it in, as we'll show later on. It'll connect in, but there is no movement on the arm. There's these plug-ins. And I think that's what SIDESHOW is doing now with their they got a Lobo figure coming out, and they have the same type of deal. You plug in Lobo's arms, but the arms don't move. The arms stay in a static, frozen position. That's the only actionness of it. They come with these other arms. Now, these arms do move. They move up and down like that. They don't go all the way back. They just move straight to a straight lock, up and down, and they move up to a curl, and that's it. Already with the pegs in them. Already with the pegs in them, right and left. Oh, by the way, these are the fists that come standard on Wolverine when we take them out the box. I just took them off of Wolverine to show you. Wolverine comes with this additional head. Nice, the feral smile. Little grimace on that. I like that. Without a mask. with the traditional Wolverine haircut. They did good styling on his haircut and his face. Really nice stuff there. Paint job looks really good too. Comes with a katana blade. Nice little red touch there. It's got a little weight to it too. It's also plastic. It looks like it's metal, but it's plastic. Nice hilt. Nice little detail on the hilt. This is not wood either. This is also plastic, molded plastic. Comes with 2 extra pigs. And sorry, I had beans for lunch. And it has a faux Wolverine mask. When he pulls it back off of his head, this sticks right on his neck with the magnet right there. And we'll show you that a little later too. Let's take a look at the articulation on this figure. Before I forget, earlier, we also came with an accessory of his stand. Kind of a nice nondescript faded out base, like a faded metal nut. This is plastic. Little Marvel indicia right there. It plugs right in. Gives you the crotch grabber stand right there, which you can extend up and out if you want like that. Put it back down. Very good. Now the articulation on this guy. Very weird articulation on him. But let's get into it. Wolverine's neck can go up about that much. Not that much up. Goes down about that much. Nice downward look. Swivels. Full 360, but because of the tightness that they brought it right to his neck with this faux suede of his uniform, it can only turn like a full side. I wouldn't try to turn it all the way around because you probably will mess this suede up very badly. So there we go. We have a shoulders go up about this much. That's it. Rotate back about 360, but again, the suede will restrict that. You don't want to rip that suede. The suede is faux suede, first of all, and it feels like it will rip if you turn it over the way around because it's very tightly on his deltoid on his shoulders. So that. Now, check it out. No bicep swivel. Very little, but the way they made it, the bicep doesn't turn. See that? It just made it, this pulls out to unplug this arm so you can plug the other arm in. But there is no swivel on this bicep on the top, right by his shoulder, his deltoid. You can just see the cut. They put it in there nice, but this is not really an action figure. And Wolverine, you want to get into some really deep action poses, which is kind of questionable why Sideshow did this. I guess they wanted to keep that uniform of his nice bare arms, so they're experimenting over at Sideshow with their figures. They've been hit or miss so far. They've done a Punisher, they've done a Deadpool, which came out very good, and they did DC line was very questionable. The Superman and Batman, it was very questionable. But they're experimenting over there, and they haven't gotten it right yet. And like I said, they're coming out with a Lobo, DC Lobo figure, and the same arm type of mechanism where the arms are solid, and you just pull out and swap the arm out, but they don't move in any direction once you do that swap. There's no elbow bend. It's just seamless, one thing, and there's no. The gauntlet turns because you can take the gauntlet off, but there is no rotation of the forearm. The wrist does rotate, however, full 360. Goes up about that much, which is good because his Wolverine with his claws, you need that wrist movement. Goes down about that much. No ab crunch. Very little ab crunch. And this isn't a restriction of the uniform. It's just the way the body, the buck of the body is made. There is no ab crunch like that. It goes up about that much, goes down about that much. Swivels up in that area. He swivels nicely, but that's it. Leg goes up about that high. When you bring the leg up, it spoils the whole flow of the uniform. Goes back about that much only. Knee, double jointed knee, goes up like that, extends out about that much. There is no calf rotation or calf cut in this figure. The ankle is separated from the calf, but because of this faux leather look on his boot that comes down in this little triangle, it cuts the calf off from doing any ankle from doing any major swivel. And the ankle does not go down or up. So it doesn't have that feature. It can just swivel from side to side, but again, it hooks into that and it takes the whole leg with it. Very interesting figure. You see also when you move it, you can potentially destroy that line in there. So I'm going to show you a swap out of the arms. So you pull the arm out like that. You see that like that. Let's put in one of his bent arms. Goes easily in like that. And you got to kind of just finagle it to get it flush with his deltoid, with the top of his shoulder. And there you go. There's bent down. But then once it's there, it's there. There is no bending up and down. There is no swivel. You take the gauntlet off of his wrist by taking this off here. Pull the gauntlet off there. Put the wrist guard right there. And you put his... Oops. Uh-oh. I knocked off one of his blades. Which is the trouble. When you have something that you have to fuss with so hard like that. See that? When you have something you have to fuss with so hard like that, there is the potential that you break it. Or that you do something weird with it, like I just didn't have my blade fall out, which I'll pick up in a minute. But I want to show you that. That's the trouble with this figure. That's one of the problems with this figure. See, there we go. Now, it looks nice once you do it, but if you have to finagle it, and with these blades out, it's going to give you potentially a problem to break that blade. These blades are solid, and they don't bend. So if you hit them hard enough, that happens. And you hit it harder than that, then the blades potentially fall out of the sockets. So that's one of the things I have with this figure that I don't like. I'm going to also show you the head swap. There we go. It's just falling apart right here. Let me put this guy on. And there we have the feral Wolverine look right there. With his arm, with no hand on him. I'll put a hand on him so he has a hand. Here we go. But see, once you put that hand on him, once you put that arm on him, the arm doesn't bend. It doesn't even swivel out. It actually goes back and forward, back and up. And that's it, and out. That's it. You can't swivel it around in any certain way like that. This goes out, down, back, up. That's it. So that's the action part of the action figure, which I have a big question about with SIDESHOW. And then you just throw this on the back of him like that. The magnet on the back just catches it like that. Hangs in there. Rather sloppily, but it hangs in there like a mask. That's pretty cool that it does that, though. And then you have Wolverine looking like that. Let's check out this costume. As we look along the uniform of Wolverine, it's a very interesting Wolverine. I like the color palette that they chose, that kind of a muted yellow, not a bright yellow, and the brown is a nice earth brown that goes with it. I like that. I like the way they have the gauntlets on the arm, and of course I like the faux mask pull down on the back that just sticks right on with the magnet. I like that. It looks really cool, and that's nice. I like the idea that SIDESHOW tried to go with, but once again, SIDESHOW's execution is just really interesting. Instead of this being a onesie, which it should actually probably be a onesie, would make it much better, they made this a shirt that can pull out. The shirt is actually tucked into his pants, and so every time you give him in a severe twist, and you can only twist this figure from the waist, so you have no ab crunch, as we mentioned earlier, so you can only switch around in the waist. And each time you do that, it tends to pull the shirt out of his pants, like that. You get that slightly creased like that, and you have to futz around and tuck it back in, which they should have just made it a onesie. Also, look at that, why they had that, I don't know either. They have a Velcro zipper on Wolverine's front, and it's not even a smoothly designed Velcro. It's kind of like, if you catch it, it's kind of like it pokes out, and it's not dark brown. It's yellow seamed on the inside, so it shows, which is kind of crazy. Also, the seams around here, that's kind of good. I know they wanted to make it kind of a utilitarian look, as if somebody would really make this type of uniform would have stitching all through it. So I get that. It's not seamless like in the comic books or such like that. That's kind of cool. I like the boots. They did a nice execution on the boots with a steel toe on it. Once again, in that real world type of concept that if somebody had this outfit, they'd wear military style boots with steel toes in them and like that. The boots are pretty good. But the fabric that they use and the way they constructed that fabric is just crazy for this price point. Once again, you see those seams in the arms. Now, you could really probably push it hard and get it so it's kind of seamless, but you shouldn't have to even do that. You shouldn't run those seams, and they shouldn't have seams that you can see in the arms. It almost looks like a model kit. If you ever had a model kit, garage kit back in the day, it looks like that. Yep, like you want to get some putty and just fill up those seams on his thing. Now, the face is really nice. They did a great job on the paint. You see little pieces of gray coming out of the tufts and Wolverine's beard. You see that? The hairstyling, the hair sculpting is pretty cool. Nice, a little squiggle of hair coming out there. I like that. The color on the ears. I like the little snarl glint. The teeth are nice and polished. Have a nice glisten to them. The eyes look good. So the face sculpt is really good. Sideshow hits and miss. They do some things good on their figure and then some things really crappy on their figures. And there's never, not yet have I seen like 100% home run. The closest I've seen is on the Deadpool figure they had out a year or two ago, and that really came out kind of really decent. But their other figures have been kind of hit or miss in one way or another. Either the execution of the body, the sculpt, or the actual uniform. The way they sew it together is kind of interesting. So let's take a full around look again. This belt is a faux belt. It's supposed to look like leather. It's just like it's a faux material. It's not really leather. They could have done better on that too, make it a little more weird. Once again, you see the tufts. I left it like that so you guys can see. I could have tucked it in, but I wanted you guys to see what you're dealing with. It pops out. Whenever you twist them around, it pops out. And they'll have to tuck it back in. Right there. It's not uniform. Sideshow really needs to work on this on the seamstress or the person that does their sewing of their uniforms, because that's really some slipshod work from time to time from Sideshow. The katana blade looks good in his hands. The wrist looks good. It curves around nicely. Also, my producer and I had a hard time getting these into those pegs. It was really a chore. Each time you change the hand out, you have to take this gauntlet off, put the gauntlet back on, and then slide the hand into the peg. And it sounds easy, but believe me, it's a chore if you want to change the hands around often. And this is the only arm that moves up and down. Look at that. That moves up and down. There's a little ball right in there. There we go. But no swivel on the arm. This one is static. This is one of those arms that just stay like that. They go up, down, swivel back, swivel up. But that's it. There's no swivel in the joint at all. So there we go. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed our look at Sideshow's 12-inch, 1/6 scale Wolverine figure. Now, this figure is very controversial. If you look on YouTube and on a lot of the net, a lot of people are not liking this figure, and I can understand where the dislikes come from. But if you want to just put him in a museum pose and leave him, if you're one of those people that put your figure in a pose and don't mess with it for months and months and months, like this, if I had him in that pose and left him, he'd look kind of badass from a nice angle. But if you're a guy that likes to put his figures in a lot of poses and really likes the action part of an action figure, it's going to be kind of rough to put him in that because of the static arms, for one, and for two, because the way the costume does not move and give itself to an action-y type pose that much, especially around the waist and the groin area. It looks kind of funky. From the shoulders and the chest in that area, it looks great. The head sculpts are fantastic on this. Once again, I have problems and issues with the arms not being a fully action arm, and the stitching and sewing construction and concept of the uniform. That's where this figure falls short to me. So this figure's going to run you about $230 to $240 from Sideshow. And then again, that's where my other issue comes. If Sideshow wants to continue making these DC and Marvel properties, that's fine. But they need to lower their price point. Yes, a lot of these industries that are making 1/6 scale figures are now charging $230, $240, and upwards for their 1/6 scale 12-inch action figures because they know through the grapevine that that Hot Toys is making that much on their figures. But you got to remember, Hot Toys makes premium quality action figures, usually from a movie likeness. Not just the likeness of a comic book, but a movie likeness of an actual living person. And they do usually a great job at that. And they do a fantastic job in the outlay of the costume or uniform that subject matter is wearing. So it's usually well worth the shelling out of $230 or upward dollars for it. But when you charge the same thing simply because you happen to have a 1/6 scale 12-inch figure, so you figure why not get in on that type of deal, you can't do that. It won't work overall. I've had a lot of issues with a lot of Sideshow's DC properties, the Superman, the Batman, and a lot of issues with the Marvel properties. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Sideshow seems to be hitting or missing right now. They're trying to find their stride. Should you buy it? I tell you, if you're a Wolverine fan, you like all things Wolverine, you're going to probably try to get this guy and mess with it and put it in your collection. Because how many Wolverine 12-inch action figures are there with cloth on them? Not many. But if you're not a Wolverine fan, you just like Marvel stuff and Marvel action figures, I'm going to tell you, it's a toss-up. I don't want to tell you to spend your coin, but it's a toss-up to actually really getting this figure. Unless you're a die-hard Wolverine or X-Men action figure collector, I would say pass on this guy for the price point, or unless you find him very cheap on eBay or secondary market, I would say pass on him because he's not fantastic in his execution. That's the truth. Then what do you guys think? Do you have this? Do you like the way he looks? Am I going a little out of base to say that this thing is kind of iffy? Let me know right down below because I always get back to you. And also check us out on Pinterest and on Facebook because we have a lot of things there on those mediums that you don't find on our YouTube channel. And thank you guys for supporting us. We're reaching 2,000 subscribers. We're small and we're building. And you guys support us with your subscriptions and your likes and your views. Thank you so much. And remember, collecting toys and action figures, even a questionable Sideshow 1/6 scale 12-inch Wolverine figure can be as fun as a barrel of monkeys. But respect the monkey. Play nice. Take care, guys.